My fellow Americans, citizens of the world, and all people who consider themselves true believers in freedom, liberty, and the right to pursue happiness, I implore you to listen to these words carefully and deeply consider the message I will now deliver to you. No matter what your beliefs, we can all generally agree on one proposition. The truth is the most valuable possession we have. Does anyone still have regard for the truth? Does anyone care about the truth anymore? If we do not have the truth, what then do we really have left? And so, how can we reconcile society such that people can once again agree on a common truth, a true story that unites us all once again? A writer once said, "In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act." In order for any revolution to begin, or even one single revolutionary act to happen, the truth must be at the core of it, especially in the oversaturated, seemingly post-truth digital landscape of today. With the abundance of information out there, if you were to find the truth, would you even know it? There is only truth, and there is only lies. There is no in-between. There are no half-truths in reality. And yet we seemingly live in a society of half-truths, grand deceptions on every level. We only rest in between waves of mis and disinformation, never finding the terra firma of truthful independent thought, grounded in an epistemology that is provable, reliable, and sufficiently explanatory. Why then would anyone choose the truth if the lie is so comfortable and so believable? Why does the truth matter? If you're sitting here now, then it shows that you care about the truth, and you've taken the most precious and difficult step towards finding it. And my story started right where you are now. I wanted to know the truth. Now, I'm not going to assume in this speech that you have read my books, but if you haven't, they are the heart of this project. And the whole point of this speech is to encourage you, to intrigue you enough to step into my world fully through reading my books. They are the most important part of this project. And you should start with this one, my first book, The More Rational Worldview. And you should also read the sequel to it, which goes along with this project, called I Am Witness One. This speech is the culmination of a long project that has cost me a great deal and taken most of my life. 14 long years ago, I killed myself. I gave up everything and disappeared from the lives of those I loved and cared about. All I wanted was two things: the truth about life and to make a song people wanted to listen to. So I left behind everything I had hoped for in life up till that point, because none of it was real. And so I peered more closely into the breach. I supported myself in a way that allowed me to do only that which I chose to do. And I discovered a form of total freedom, which I elucidate on in my book. And within the gaze of this boundless freedom, I surprised even myself. I found it, the meaning of my life. Yours too, if you want it. But only a seed which grew and flowered over the coming years of hardship after this idyllic but illusory period. As I bounced around aimlessly, wandering the earth like a forgotten specter with only a laptop running Ableton Live to keep him company, I found deeper and deeper truths. I discovered roots and I pulled on them. And to my horror, the plant that I exposed was as rotten as they come. More rotten, in fact, than I could have possibly imagined. And so I began to document it. Treason, a coup within my lifetime in my country. A striking pattern of criminality from a singular source comprising a political egregore of tremendous size and power. A cancer upon the planet and a scourge that threatens to extinguish humanity itself. An existential risk to our very souls and that which makes us human. I found a story so unimaginable, so vast and expansive that it was hard to believe. And yet the facts are undeniable. There is truth to be found in this world if you know how and where to look. So here's the story I tell in my books, either a series of coincidences that are indeed literally impossible to have happened, or a conspiracy so vast it defies imagination. And as I have refined this project through the last 15 years of debates, research, refutations, and publication, there is only one constant in my interactions with others. It's not that I win every time. It's that I win these debates and they simply don't care. No matter what, though I know you will inevitably admit that I am right if I can convince you to read my books, I cannot even dare to hope that you will care. Most likely, you will be irritated or apathetic. The rest seem to live in a state of constant amnesia, waking up refreshed every day just to have the exact same debate over and over again, even though you too now already know I'm right. It goes on and on. We are trapped in a perpetual motion machine of our own design, and only we can stop it. There is a futile mockery of discourse in society such that people disagree with just about anything for no good reason, simply because they feel cynically obligated to, regardless of how much evidence you present debunking their false but closely held beliefs. This is a way of reinforcing and bracing against our own feelings, fears, and insecurities. And if they finally admit you were right all along, they'll tell you an even dirtier little secret. They don't care. Now, good can defeat evil, but apathy cannot. There is a fell evil on the face of mankind, a sickness that has caused an immunity to truth in us. To hear this message, you must understand that even your own vision has been clouded. This is an affliction that currently affects us all, and only through careful study and a rigorous examination of the historical and forensic evidence available to us can we hope to piece together a cohesive, coherent story that is undeniably true, supported by all the facts available to us. This new epistemological theory of everything must synthesize the world we see around us, the facts of history, and our own forensic record into a more sufficiently explanatory theory of reality, comprehensively using the evidence that is provable, widely accepted, and accessible to everyone. But more than anything else, I must find a way to make you care. So, let's start at the root of the issue. What exactly is my problem? Where does it all begin? There is only one rational answer, and all the facts align. It's the greatest story of all time, and it's playing out right in front of your face. Though you have eyes to see it and ears to hear it, you do not look and you do not listen. It is time to open your eyes and ears if you really want the truth. You see, people in our world have stopped believing in dreams, hope for the future, and maybe that a world outside of their own beliefs exists. We are about to commit civilizational suicide simply because we refuse to even believe in the very problem we are facing. And though I iterated this project dozens of times, refined it through debates for 15 years, and supplemented it with over 2,500 pages of original research, I have yet to succeed in making people care enough about what is happening to us to listen to me on a scale wide enough to actually do something about it. This project is my attempt to change that. And throughout it, and the 4 years of running this ministry, my wife and I have faced death threats, stalking, and other forms of harassment. We have had 2 dogs killed, and there have been other incidences related to the writing we have done. Exposing the truth, it turns out, can be hazardous to one's health. So why then should we speak when others demand that we remain silent? This question may be the most important of all. And here's another good one. Am I willing to die for the truth? Well, are you? And if so, then what is the truth? Is there a truth so profoundly impactful it would be worth dying to tell it? What would you do if you found it? Of course, this is more than just an epistemological dilemma for me. This is personal. In my short lifetime of 33 years on Earth, the amount of damage that I have seen pour upon the world from this wellspring of criminality stemming from a single source is almost not even quantifiable. I have watched them kill the oceans, squander the natural world, and kill off animals by the thousands. I watch their factories and pollution killing the planet daily. I have seen the death of the fireflies. I stood in the forest after the tractors left, and I saw the disembowelment of the earth. I have watched a coup in my country and deliberate destruction of all that we once held dear in our lives as citizens. I have watched the death of freedom and the birth of a form of tyranny so inescapable and vast that the average person is almost incapable of even acknowledging the crimes committed against us. I have been lied to by every person I have ever met, and I watched as you let go of even the slightest hope of finding intellectual solid ground. I watched as you set down the book and picked up the remote control and video games. I watched the light drain from your eyes. I watched you cower before the mere illusion of an enemy, even when they could have been stopped by the mere illusion of resistance or morality. I watched you turn then and try and tell others what to do in a futile attempt to avoid your own guilt, self-loathing, and cowardice. I watched as you accepted your subjugation, crying out for more, with hands bared willingly for the shackles. I watched as no one set them free. Indeed, I have watched everything, and I'm not happy with what I've seen. I have watched especially, though, since the 7th grade. That was the year we invaded Iraq in 2003. And since then, I have read the news every day. And I still do. And I remember everything that I have ever read. Every lie I've been told. Every sideways glance. And every fake story that I've ever been told. That was the year that I learned that everyone was lying to me, being lied to and lying to themselves, and they didn't even know it. And so, this is what I have compiled for you. Absolute, undeniable truth of a vast criminal conspiracy, coordinated within our very own government. A coup and high treason, a plot with almost all members still alive, a plot to subjugate and destroy this country that continues to this very day. Not just one lie, but thousands of coordinated ones. A vast conspiracy, thick and rich with paper trails, names, evidence. Evidence so strong that sometimes it can only be construed as a confession of sorts. And yet, it's not too late to fix this. So in my books, here's what you'll learn. 9/11 was in reality a money laundering operation to allow fraudulent security bonds to clear. These fraudulent security bonds were based on stolen gold from World War II, and it was used to collapse the Soviet Union in 1991 through a series of financial crimes and corrupt deals. These were 10-year bonds, and they were due to clear in September 2001, 10 years after the collapse of the Soviet Union, through the Cantor Fitzgerald and SEC offices in the World Trade Center complex. This destruction of evidence was the core motivation for 9/11, although the full story is much deeper and more complex and includes several other motives. Indeed, 9/11 is a nexus of crime, a singularity of criminality, where cynical corporate interests intersected with the government's desire to subjugate its own citizens more effectively in just the wrong way for all of us. There is much more to this, and these tragic acts of deceptive, state-sponsored violence can never be undone, but I propose to you that we are left with only two realistic choices. Submit and go quietly into that good night, or make a real good faith effort to autopsy 9/11 and unravel the vast criminal conspiracy subjugating us from within our government by tearing it apart in a courtroom, with real consequences for anyone implicated, no matter who they are. This is the way you rip out the heart of the organized crime element within our own government. This is how you fix the world. It starts with wanting to seek the truth, a quest for truth, the truth about 9/11. And so, I want you to ask yourself a question. What happened then to the concepts of liberty and freedom? Are you content to accept servitude, subjugation, and then death at the hands of an unjust enemy, or will you stand up for once with me? Are people finally willing to admit that I have been right all along? In fact, are you even aware that you have been subjugated? Do I need to speak of the truth only as a concept that once existed in fables and legends? Or will we once again reclaim our noble, God-given right to establish it for ourselves? Can't you people tell when you're being lied to? What I offer is a new story, one that finally makes sense. From the abandoned stone megaliths of the distant past to the Bible, Jesus Christ himself, to the Rothschilds, to the Lusitania, the Balfour Declaration, Pearl Harbor, World War II, the Levant Affair, the counterculture of the 60s, the Beatles, Iran-Contra, 9/11, and what's happening this very day within our own government. It's all connected. I tell these stories in my new book, along with my very own story. I have connected all these dots for the first time ever, and the picture is now in focus. When it comes to identifying who is causing our problems, it's always been clear who the problem is. Their villainous ways are not a mystery, and their crimes are not concealed behind closed doors or the dark of night. They are the new robber barons who plunder the working class in broad daylight in front of the world to see as a show of power. Under color of law and authority, they abuse us and cruelly subjugate us. They are the existential threat to society, civilization, our lives, our country, our values, and indeed our very souls. They are the problem that is making all of our lives miserable. They are the cancer that must be excised before the body can walk, think, talk, or know the truth again. This is the only story that makes sense of all the data we have available before us. And I'm talking, of course, about the Republican Party. One of my reasons for doing this is because they present themselves as Christians, people who really care about freedom and the law of love. And it's time for those within the ranks of Christianity to call out the great evil within. And knowing them well, I'm well aware of their treacherous ways and the sin that they hide. And although they have many accomplices in the Democratic Party and the private sector, the Republicans are primarily the ones keeping us poor, stealing the efforts of our productivity, and making sure that the benefits we are all entitled to from the fruit of our labor remains firmly out of reach. They are the ones keeping us holistically impoverished, poor in body, mind, and spirit. They are the ones that have taken away the concept of truth, dumbed you down, and kept you docile, fat, lazy, and stupid. They have killed our collective truth and replaced it with nothing but filth and hatred. They are the reason everyone I have ever met has lied to me. They are the reason that we do not believe in ourselves, our country, or anything beyond their lies, false dichotomies, and culture war issues anymore. And this is perhaps the most cynical, cruel, and devious lie of all, claiming to follow the teachings of Jesus Christ himself while using it to gain power and wealth, and then wielding it as an instrument of power and control over others. Make no mistake, they are not who they appear to be. They are the most cunning enemy that we as humans have ever faced. And if we cannot begin to name them and call them out, then we are surely headed to our collective doom. However, I don't want to get too deep into a Hegelian dialectic of false dichotomies. The point of both parties is to allow corruption, prevent us from taxing the rich, and to allow corporations to wield power disproportionately to protect profits at any cost. In fact, I can tell you right now, I have deduced through rigorous inquiry that the Democratic Party is not real. It does not exist. It only exists as a concept, a foil to shield and pretend to protest the criminality of the Republican Party. They are in a symbiotic, mutually suicidal, parasitical relationship, but the Republican Party is the host. If you kill one, the other will die. And perhaps from their ashes, a real party could arise. The whole system is rotten. What I am giving you is an actionable plan. And the truth, it starts with rooting out the Republicans. Take them down in every single way, and the Democratic Party will collapse within itself. Either this political system will collapse or we will. There is still hope for change from within, but it would require a social, cultural, and political revolution, unlike anything we've ever seen in this country. And if it cannot be changed, it will inevitably collapse. And at that point, it will be us or them. I have already watched the world end. Haven't you? Haven't you seen how they used wedge issues like criminalizing drug abuse, gay marriage, and abortion to fracture us, divide us, and keep us busy arguing like idiots about things that the government never had any power or business regulating in the first place? Can't you tell by now that these are false dichotomies designed to lead you around in circles? Can't you tell that these aren't the true wars, but distractions meant to seize... I'm going to start back. I look to the side there. Keep us busy arguing like idiots about things that the government never had any power or business regulating in the first place. Can't you tell by now that these are false dichotomies designed to lead you around in circles? Can't you tell these aren't the true wars, but distractions meant to seize power over you? Are you really distracted that easily by your epistemological masters? Can't you tell that they're just about all in on it, and arguing about left versus right has gotten us nowhere? Can you not see that we all want the same thing, what we're entitled to as citizens, and likewise, they also all want the same thing, our complete and total subjugation? You have all been tricked into fighting petty, stupid cultural wars while your humanity is stripped and you are silently subjugated. Now, let's go deeper. Can you handle the truth? Let's name our enemy, shall we? An unholy cabal, an alliance between certain private banking families of the world, intelligence agencies like the CIA, the think tanks and organizations, organized crime, certain states like the Vatican and Israel, other political entities like the City of London and Washington, D.C., and of course, a million civilians who are just doing their jobs. Perhaps, like in my books, we could borrow terminology from Jesus himself in Revelation 3:9 and 2:9, the synagogue of Satan, or as I like to put it, the Synagogue of Satan International Organized Crime Syndicate, exposed in my books for the first time ever. Remember, even if you do not think Satan is real, they do. This organized crime syndicate is fundamentally Luciferian in nature. So know thy enemy. This organized crime syndicate is fundamentally Luciferian in nature. Know thy enemy. And to defeat them, we must first acknowledge that they exist. They have, in fact, for a long time. But for the purposes of my story, I'll explain it simply. You can start at the Battle of Waterloo. That's where this all began. The stolen gold, the inside dealing, playing both sides of a war, and high financial crimes leading to a buyout of the entire British government by a private family. A coup in other words, a hostile takeover with their own goals in mind, not the welfare of their populations, but the Balfour Declaration. A society in which wealth goes not to those who generate it, but to those who play obscure geopolitical games and seek to guide humanity with a hidden hand into their own dark machinations. In fact, a whole war that was an inside job, a financial scheme, and a money laundering operation. The House learned here to hold arbitrage on both sides. And so, let me get to my point. There is a vast conspiracy at play, which has been planned since before our grandparents were even born. It's known as the Great Work, and it's an alchemical transmutation of society into what those who would deem themselves our masters view as a perfect one. And it involves 3 world wars, and 9/11 is a part of it, but not the end. There will be another false flag, and World War III will happen. The world as we know it will be destroyed, and America will be written into the history books, just like the losers of the first 2 world wars. And as it once was, so it shall be again. You see, unlike most of their citizens, these people aren't stupid. They know that their new society will require a justification for being, and it must have a real mythology or story of how it came to be. They have taken your stories away, but they are not unaware of the power stories can hold. In their story, we killed the planet, elected madmen, and started wars for profit, causing unimaginable suffering in the name of greed. It's impossible to overstate how easy it will be to write about the deserved nature of our own self-destruction, brought about seemingly by our own hand. In their brave new world, they would have a controlled population, a restored and healthy environment, and clean energy. As usual, from their perspectives, they are the heroes. Everyone is the hero of their own story. The truth is not nearly as clear-cut. And if we don't stop it, this future may yet come to pass. It would be a sterile world, necessarily devoid of the things we used to consider as what makes life worth living. And although we already live in a dystopian, capitalistic hellscape, forced to scrounge and beg for crumbs while we work jobs of meaningless subjugation, have you not had a taste of something greater? Something beyond just this? Is there not something in the glint of the sun that tells you there is a better option than this? One where we learn to live together in actual harmony and teach ourselves how to render true freedom upon this planet, not merely a cynical farce of it. To finally step out of the shadows of the cave into the light of the sun and tell ourselves once and for all that we will accept no more human masters. Can we at least agree that every single person on this planet should be subject to any laws that exist and start there? Wasn't there some kind of document that went over this laws applying to everyone thing from a long time ago called the Magna Carta or something like that? I mean, do you people like having sociopaths cruising around next to you on the road constantly, ready to shoot you or throw you in a cage at the slightest provocation? Do you enjoy being lied to from on high and obeying rules that aren't followed by those who write them? Do you like having people that literally want to murder you in charge of designing the intricate laws and political processes that govern our daily lives? I have deduced through painstaking research that it isn't just me. There has been a quantifiable change in the nature of reality on this planet, and it's due to an evil so pervasive and coordinated that it can only be described as supernatural. Most of you have always known this deep down inside. And I also know that other people really don't like the same things that I don't like, such as arbitrary rules, corrupt politicians, abuse of authority, state-sponsored violence, avoidable human suffering, etc. So if you're looking for a way out or hope, I can offer it to you. It's a new story, a story that I wrote for us, our story, one where we overcome our enemies and learn to set aside the differences that have been used to divide us. But I've also learned something else, how difficult it is to tell this story to people. You see, that's the nature of this project, a fractal. Within the fractal lies truth, but I wrapped it all up for you. All it has to do is go viral, and the rest is already planned out. All you have to do is listen to me about 9/11, that I've proved it, and it's time for people to listen. The thing is, we're dead without a leader. You can all die separately or come together for once to work together. Nothing is guaranteed except that you will eventually die someday, and if you don't act now, you will eventually regret it up until that very day. The great work will be accomplished, one way or the other, and the time is drawing to a close before it is too late. And I can assure you that there's no place for you or I in that world. So make your choice, a quiet subjugation and death, or a once-in-a-lifetime chance to turn the tables on evil in a way that will deal it significant damage. It's called the pickoff, and they never see it coming. If you want to fix this, we need to rip out the criminal heart within the government. And it all starts with actually exposing 9/11 to a critical mass of people, a RICO case against Republicans. A RICO case. It's how you take down a crime boss, the mafia. It's a way to prosecute organized crime. Maybe someone who operates through vague orders, blunder, and stochastic terrorism, but who is aware of where the line is and takes great pain to seemingly avoid crossing it. Of course, once you connect the dots, it's quite simple to prosecute organized criminals if you aren't scared of them. And here's what we are going to do differently. We are naming names. Let me repeat what I said. These people have names, and they're still alive. So who could we start with to ask some questions about 9/11? Larry Silverstein, Dov Zakheim, General Hugh Shelton, Ben Sliney, Lieutenant General Mike Canavan, Captain Charles Ledig, or the good generals Ralph Eberhart and Larry Arnold. Do those names ring any bells? No? Well, maybe you should read my book, because I have some really good questions that I'd like to ask these people about 9/11 and what they did that day. How about Cheney and Bush? Do those names ring any bells? Has anyone asked them anything about this in the last 20 years? There's a lot more, and this is a start. I proved all of it, and there's more than enough evidence to warrant a real investigation into it. I don't see what the big deal is. All I see are people making fun of those who question 9/11, but I don't see them reading much about it. All you have to do is read my books, and you'll understand why bringing this to light is the only way to stop everything else that is currently happening. And that's why I'm doing this project. It's doable, and in fact, it might be the only viable plan. And you might be thinking, well, Witness One, if what you're saying is true, it's not possible. They'd kill us all before they would let that happen. Well, so what? Maybe. Who cares? Can't you people tell when you're being set up? Haven't you looked around enough to tell we're already in a trap? That this ends in tears either way, ours or theirs? Do our lives even matter if we do not stand for anything? If we do not stand for the truth, are we any different than mere animals? And the truth involves the righting of wrongs. It seems that people understand best through stories. So how about a book you all know, Animal Farm? In this book, the animals throw off the cruelty of human ownership, only to suffer even worse fates at the hands of the greedy, uncaring, and sociopathic pigs. They lie about the good leader who loved them, Snowball, and trick the animals into thinking that their friends are their enemies, and their enemies are their friends. And at the end of the book, the animals have just about had it. After realizing that they're in an even worse situation than before, they snap and kill all the pigs and dogs, their attack dogs. They stomp them to death. After realizing they're in an even worse situation than before, they snap and kill all the pigs and their attack dogs. They stomp them to death. It turns out the power was within them all along. And once they were determined to stop what was going on at potentially any cost, it was just a matter of breaking down a simple fence and wall and walking into the house. The pigs are helpless when they come face to face with a wall of angry horses and cows, and their power was all just an illusion. Now, if the situation in this country was a movie or book, all of you people would obviously be able to see what I'm saying, and you'd agree that the only right course of action by the end of Animal Farm was for the animals to use force on their own behalf to end their cruel subjugation under the pigs. And because it seems that nobody believes that stories can't actually be true anymore, that's why I chose this medium to deliver this message to you today. You people need books and movies to understand the truth. So here it is, a story of your very own, and you are the cow. You have two choices: walk to slaughter or kick down your fence. So this is what you've been waiting for. Someone on one of the screens that you love so much, giving you permission to feel the anger that you've held inside for too long. Release the false dichotomies and cognitive dissonance for the first time in years. It's time for us to stand up. I, for one, have seen enough of this. For 33 years, I have watched the guns and tanks rolling over houses and killing mother and child. I have watched 10,000 children a day, on average, die of starvation in the streets. I have watched the wealth of half the world coagulate into the hands of only a handful of people. I have watched the face of evil, and I have documented its every move. So here it is, the pickoff, an irrefutable thesis on the criminality of the Republican Party and their enablers elsewhere within the government, obviously including many perpetrators in the Democratic Party as well. This is how we fix it. A book, a log of all their crimes that is so undeniably true, and a story that is so much better than theirs, that it spreads like wildfire and can't be controlled. So I have a plan, but I can't do it alone. We can't do it without a voice. And let's say you don't believe me. So what? Can't you give me a shot? A fair chance to look at my evidence? Aren't you interested enough to at least read my books, even if it's just to try and debunk it? And be real. Who else is going to stop this? Are you still waiting for another judge, a court case, or a politician to stop what's going on? Haven't you learned by now that we're going to need someone larger than life? Someone who can tell a true story? Our story just as effectively as the greatest liar of all time. Do you want to be forced to live in their fake reality of lies, if you're lucky enough to survive what they have planned for us? Can you not feel it coalescing around you already? Maybe you don't read the news because it bothers you. Well, good for you. Perhaps it's time to make a change and pay attention before the bat hits you from behind. Do you want a chance or not? Maybe the world ends. Maybe we all die and none of this matters at all. Maybe they win and humanity changes forever in a grim, terrible way we can never take back. Or maybe we win, the world doesn't end, and we get to choose to build something better. Perhaps, if so, we could compile all of our grievances together in a sort of document, and we could band together to do something new and different. What we need is a collection of people, normal citizens, who can stop trying to impose their will on each other and set aside their small differences in opinion on practically meaningless cultural issues. This group of citizens must work together to wield power, speak as one voice, and impose their will on the government and those who would consider themselves our slave masters. Only by banding together, as the proverbial serpent once more, join or die, can we succeed in making the kind of revolutionary, rapid change we need to see in politics to survive this. We need unity. So, let's talk about taxing the rich. Here's how my story goes. I say we forget about all of the bullshit and tax the fuck out of the rich. I say we get someone new in charge and make the rich and corporations pay their fair share. I say we stop listening to those who have forfeited their duties and use their positions and powers to enrich themselves at the expense of us all. Now, obviously, the full plan is much more complex than this, and it actually has 7 phases. A full scope of complex legal and political framework. But I'm trying to put it really simply here. Nothing will ever get better until you rip what is rightfully yours back from those who stole it. This will not happen easily through asking nicely, voting, or electing different politicians. To do so, you will need quite a few people behind you. You will also need someone who does not fear death to lead them. All countries have a choice in how they will be remembered. America has a choice right now. Succumb to being the villain we have slowly metamorphosized into over the last few decades, or shake this off, slap ourselves, and wake up from this ridiculous slumber we've fallen into. You know, there's another quote I heard once from some writers, and it went something like this. People are inherently endowed with certain rights, such as life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. When the government becomes so destructive to these rights that it poses an existential threat to them, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute a new government with guiding principles and secure foundations that will secure these rights once again. This right of the people is predicated by a long list of abuses, such as unjust and unfairly applied laws, a political system that is divorced from the people and their wishes, widespread and undeniable corruption from those supposed to serve the public, manipulating trade and taxation to inflict subjugation on the people, creating a militarized army of police to inflict terror on the population, and abusing federal agencies to carry out subversive geopolitical machinations. But there is one abuse which supersedes all others, and which grants the population within total right to the abolishment of the current form of government, constitutionally speaking. Treason, a coup, to take over a country from within by pretending to be part of it, while in reality betraying everything you claimed to stand for. To create a series of lies so vast and terrible that no one would ever dare question them, in order to subjugate and destroy the citizens you swore to protect and care for. And so, let me finish my quote, or rather, my paraphrase. I think it goes something like this. After a long list of abuses and grievances, traditionally compiled into a document, all point towards the certain goal or objective of subjugating the people more effectively and depriving them of their rights to life, liberty, and happiness, it is not only the people's right, but their duty to throw off such government so that they may be free from tyranny, fear, violence, poverty, and all other forms of servitude and slavery. This is the natural order of things, and no tyrant will ever succeed in holding more than a mere wisp of smoke or a few grains of sand in their hands before inevitably losing it. In this case, it is necessary for them to find new guardians for their future security, for their prosperity, and the lives of their children to live in freedom. This is how the tree of liberty shall be watered, with the blood of tyrants. Anything else is a lie. Now, this is the most important right you have, and no one can take it away from you. The right to recognize tyranny, to call it out, and to fight back against it by any means necessary when justified. It's called self-defense and applies not only to individuals, but to nation states and the populations therein. Unfortunately, those who sit above us on the pyramid of society are not stupid, and they do not reveal themselves easily. To see the truth of this, you must read the story within a story that has played out for much longer than just a few decades. Think deeply about what I'm saying, or you will be forced to accept a subjugation in which resistance might finally become truly futile. And so you see, we are in a bit of a pickle, aren't we? But the truth is, this works two ways. Maybe they're in a pickle too, the Synagogue of Satan International Organized Crime Syndicate. Maybe they overextended and made it too obvious to too many people what their plans are, that we have no future. Maybe in their apathy, overconfidence, and self-assuredness, they left just a little bit too much evidence out there of their crimes against humanity, treason, and other war crimes, and someone might compile it all into an easy-to-read document that could theoretically be spread very widely if people choose to do so. Maybe someone who's been paying attention to every lie they heard on the news or read in a newspaper kept track of it all. And now it's all just waiting here for millions of people to find it. Maybe there actually is someone out there who would be willing to die for a chance to have a voice for once and to grind the gears of the war machine to a halt. Maybe this is your only shot and you don't even know it. Or maybe not. It's up to you watching this to care about the truth. Although things can seem dire, the result is not set in stone. There is still hope, but you are going to need a leader. Right now, there is no one to stand against the onslaught taking place. You need a psychological counter to absolute narcissism. You will need someone who knows how to care about other people. And you'll need someone who knows how to treat people the way they want to be treated, with respect and dignity. And now here we sit in a world gone mad. Humanity crucified upon a cross of gold. Perhaps in this case, a tower. And who can restore sanity? Who can pull us back from this brink decades after we cross the point of no return? Many years ago, when we all just generally accepted that Republicans like Bush and his father were just criminals, war criminals, and criminals against humanity, and there was really actually just nothing to be done about it. Iran-Contra was the inflection point, and I elaborate more on all of this in my books. Right now, we are in a crucible, a singularity of crime that has drawn us inexorably towards it. Through its own intentional design, we have felt helpless against an onslaught of illegal acts too numerous and vast to even detail exactly. However, it never was inevitable. And so, if you want to know who is to blame for this, as someone else once said a long time ago, if you're looking for the guilty, you need only look in a mirror. None of this would have been possible without our tacit consent and acknowledgement that we are okay with our psychopathic government murdering people in our names. And finally, we are starting to see why so many have hated us. Now, one thing we have enough of in this planet is idle words and speeches that go nowhere. And that's where this project comes in. It can't just be a speech. It can't be just words. There must be action. And there are books, videos, and our leadership to go along with this. This is a movement. So listen to my story within a story and see if you can figure it out. You and I are the animals. The pigs are the billionaires and government. The walls of the farm represent the false belief that we should fear them rather than them fearing us. It represents the illusion that we are subjugated by them, when in reality, the presence of billions of us subjugates them. So if you're going to defeat these people, you're going to have to forget about court cases, lawyers, voting, judges, and all that other stuff. Republicans don't care about that stuff. They operate as an organized crime syndicate, which has the power to bend the justice system to their will. And in the face of their criminality and physical violence, the justice system also does not exist. So if you want to defeat them, you've got to stop with the weak, pleading bullshit where you validate all of the abuse against us and let them set the terms of the discussion. Reframe it. Stop letting them dictate the terms of every debate with their ridiculous lies and nonsense. It's been decades of a level of criminality from these people that is literally impossible to physically document. In fact, that's one of their strategies. Perform so many crimes and disgustingly illegal acts that to argue only one or a few of them makes you seem absurd, and it's intentionally difficult to encompass the full scope of the serious facts I'm laying out here for you. It's like a Gish-Gallop fallacy, but with crimes, murder, death, poverty, war, destruction, and hatred. You're going to need some better strategies for dealing with this than asking nicely, standing in the street, making signs, writing letters, phone calls, emails, and town halls. None of that will help you, and it certainly won't save you. You're going to need someone who is willing to take them on at their level, maintain focus, and refuse to let them dictate the terms of reality or to lie without pushback. They only respond to power, and the people only have power when they can exercise it together and speak loudly with a single voice. So why do I sit here writing out this speech, even though it seems doomed to the same inevitable obscurity of all my other projects, the inevitable obscurity we all face? Because I read a lot as a kid, and I know the power of a story too. And I also studied history, and I know the power of a book. Many people do, in fact. And there's one main thing to be learned from these stories. It's the power of foregoing apathy, of choosing to say the most important words of all. I care. The opposite of love isn't hatred, as we all know. It's apathy. I don't care about you. Choosing to care is the most potent expression of love that we have available to us on a ready basis. Hatred and love, in fact, are synergistic. The more you love something, the more you will hate that which would seek to destroy it. You can love humanity so much, or another person, that you learn to hate through watching them suffer violence and abuse, or discovering that there are those who would seek to harm them. It happens all the time. In this world of opposing forces, of good and evil, if you do not hate evil, then you also do not love goodness. If you do not hate injustice, you do not love justice. And if you do not hate greed, you cannot love selflessness. So it all goes back to actions. Words like faith and religion are dead without actions. And is there no greater expression of humanity than the simple act of breaking a piece of our bread so that we can give it to someone who is hungry? Someone like us who desperately needs something we have, which we are capable of sharing. Have we strayed so far from our collective humanity that we cannot even agree on the simple facts of everyone deserving food, water, dignity, shelter, medical care, and the right to a happy life that is free from misery, poverty, and subjugation? Are we really not even going to try and fix the already massively unbalanced systems of inequality and oppression that we were born into? Is no one else but me exasperated regarding all of this? Or is it really just me? Do you people seriously not even want a world where the environment is protected from corporations, the government is not a threat to its own citizens, and no one worries about freezing to death, being homeless, going hungry, dying in a dirty hut somewhere, or not even having clean water to drink. I mean, what is this? Seriously, what are we even actually doing here? As I write these words, I already know that some of you will laugh at me. Some of you will hate me without any good reason, simply for telling the truth, because you aren't used to that. I don't care. As a matter of fact, I would be happy about that, because that would mean that people are watching this and someone cares about it. The worst thing, my worst fear of this project is that no one will ever watch it. So get angry about it. That's great. You aren't used to people telling you the truth. I understand. And maybe some of you will hear it, not laugh, will care about it, and read my books. Then some of you will join us. Then most likely, more people will laugh at us, as the quote goes. Then they fight us. Then we will win. I have hope because I don't think that apathy is a natural state for humanity. In fact, I know that apathy is not a natural condition for humans. I believe that it has been induced in us through a number of means, some much more visible and obvious than others. However, any system can be smashed, and there is no affliction or curse that cannot be broken. Even this deep fog on the face of humanity will one day lift. But in this world, I have never yet seen people love one another. Maybe it's not possible for us yet. Maybe we're unable to interpret all of its deep meanings and connotations. Love one another. What does it mean, anyways? Maybe it means that we all need to look out for each other again and come together to collectively realize who it is that's been behind our backs with a knife this whole time. Maybe we need to engage some of those family values and protective instincts that we always heard about so much from some of the Republican fathers and evangelical Christians across the country for so long. Maybe some of these police that obviously care so much about protecting their communities can step forward with me against all of this too, for justice and truth. Maybe we should arrest people when they break the law, even if they are rich and powerful. Maybe we can all admit why everyone grows up to be alienated, angry, and depressed. Because it's just so obvious in this society that no one cares about each other beyond how much money we can all make for each other. And the deepest, most profound way that we have expressed this is by failing to protect one another from a government that obviously went rogue and sociopathic quite some time ago. And by not admitting to each other that we were all lied to about 9/11. And the Republican Party is obviously an organized crime syndicate hell-bent on making us all as poor and miserable as possible, so they can abuse and torture us and then kill us without meaningful resistance. And unless someone will say that out loud, we're doomed. Maybe that's the first real step towards truly loving one another. So what am I getting at here? What do I mean when I say that the Republican Party is a major part of an organized crime syndicate? Well, I'll give you two examples, but I want you to remember what I said about the Gish-Gallop fallacy. When you just say so much nonsense that it can't be countered, and how it applies here. These people engage in weaponized criminality, where they intentionally commit so many crimes that to even engage in trying to quantify them inevitably ends up sounding absurd. So people give up. Just think about that for a moment. They intentionally commit so many crimes that it makes it impossible to even sound rational discussing them. Make no mistake, what we are dealing with now is no mere ordinary stupidity or evil. This is a new level of weaponized dishonesty and criminality, all working towards one singular goal: the more effective subjugation of 99% of us. Even if I were to try and chronicle just the outright lies, crimes, and absurdities that happened while I was writing this speech, it would come across as pathetic and ridiculous. They make it impossible to complain about them by being so inherently and unbelievably evil that it causes almost everyone to either tune out from frustration or disengage due to not believing the sheer scale of evil that is being presented. So let's get to the star of my story. I'll give you two very quick examples of Republican organized crime among many, too many to even count. It starts with a story, that of one Virginia Giuffre. Some of you may know her name, and some of you may not. And if not, she was the most famous and visible of the Jeffrey Epstein victims. And she has a very well-documented case with a series of lawsuits about the crimes perpetrated against her. She was hit by a bus a few weeks ago, and she is now dead. Separate incidents. She killed herself. Most famously, of course, she was pimped out to Prince Andrew by Jeffrey Epstein. Now, what many people don't know about her is where she met Epstein, through what they call his madam, Ghislaine Maxwell. Virginia was working at Mar-a-Lago in Florida for Donald Trump. That's right. She was working at Trump's property, and he was pimping out girls through Epstein and Maxwell in Florida. Can you people not see this stuff? Are you stupid? Can you not tell that he's the one running this? Before I get back to our star, here's one more example. Before January 6th, there was the Brooks Brothers riots. Have you ever heard of that? Oh, no. That's okay. It was just a series of well-planned and coordinated riots in Florida in support of Bush's case in the Supreme Court to steal the 2000 election. Behind these well-organized and planned riots, which were actually illegal, it's actually illegal to do that, you'll find Roger Stone, along with many of the other political operatives and fixers who helped Trump to victory eventually. This is Republican organized crime. It's political violence. It's terrorism. Let's take a look at three of the lawyers on Bush's team for the 2000 election Supreme Court case. Amy Barrett, Brett Kavanaugh, and John Roberts. Do these names ring any bells? Who appointed them to the Supreme Court, I wonder? Are you beginning to see what I'm saying about organized crime here? These are literally examples of racketeering, influencing, and corruption. Mafia stuff for the RICO Act. Because there's 10,000 more examples where those came from, and they get progressively more disturbing as it goes on. I seriously can't tell. Do you people actually know about this stuff and ignore it? Or do you just not know about things like Virginia Giuffre and the Brooks Brothers riots? Because there's so much more than this. It gets so much worse. I mean, every day, this guy pardons some new asshole who paid him off, bullies law firms into working for him for free, weaponizes lies against his enemies, sends some guy to El Salvador, drops a new Trump coin, takes a $5 million bribe for dinner or a new jet, and abuses our very country itself with a million more acts of flagrantly illegal bullshit. Now, I started this project on December 8th, 2024, because I knew that this was coming. And yet somehow, the blatant attacks and the sheer absolute incompetence and audacity of how they went about tearing down our liberties has surprised even me. Safe to say, it's been worse than anyone thought it would be. Don't you people read the news? Have you not seen that this regime has finally realized the sum of all fears? The removal of the laws once followed, at least in theory, if not all the time, that prevented bringing together a combination of the entire federal surveillance state against one man's enemies. Don't you realize it will be turned on us next? That in fact it already has. And you're really gonna let this guy do it? Of all people, haven't you ever heard of Rudy Giuliani, Trump's other best friend, the guy who invented the RICO Act, after Epstein and Roy Cohn, take a look at him. Does that look like a confident guy, self-assured that he made the right choices in life? How's he doing lately anyways? Can you not tell that these people are the real mafia and it was all a scam all along? But more than anything else, we need to look at the man people worship, Donald Trump. And so here it is, my message to Donald Trump, who can insult every person he has ever met, but never once actually looked in a mirror. Well, I hope you like it. Dear Mr. Trump, you are a fat, ugly piece of shit. I will debate you anytime, any place. You only ever won anything because you cheated, and you're in on it all. You faced a row of controlled opposition puppets set up for you to disarm in another attempt to lie to and mislead the public. You're a coward, and you bully people to hide it. You haven't lived an honest day in your life. You couldn't even imagine it. All you know is how to take things from people and step on those who you consider less than you. You embody literally everything I ended up hating about this world. Pure, unadulterated greed that seeps into and pollutes everything. That tears up forests for casinos. That rapes the woodlands. And you know what? Maybe I can start changing all of that by telling you the truth about yourself. You are the actual embodiment of every single deadly sin. Greed, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, sloth, and pride. You have never sought God for forgiveness because you are not a Christian, as you claim. You are shamelessly prideful to the point that legends will speak of your hubris forever. You are the modern day Nebuchadnezzar or Nero, a king so famously, stupidly narcissistic that people will whisper tales of horror from your name forever. You are not only the greediest man alive, giving nothing and stealing from charities, you are constitutionally greedy, stealing and stripping the rights of the people you claim to love. You have been held liable for sexual assault allegations. And in fact, there are so many of them that you have your own entire Wikipedia page dedicated to your favorite hobby, raping and abusing women. It's called Donald Trump Sexual Misconduct Allegations. If you were to print it as a PDF, it would be 47 pages long. It would be longer than this entire speech to read the Wikipedia page of just your sexual misconduct allegations, Trump. And I have the link right here, too. You are literally the easiest person to make fun of in history. You're stupid, you look ridiculous, you're a liar, you're a fraud, and you are observably deranged. I mean, you bankrupt casinos, for God's sake. Sesame Street made fun of you. People don't talk about it because they're scared of you. They fear you. So congratulations to you, I guess. I hope it was worth it, but I already know it wasn't. You can assemble a cabinet full of sycophants, but you will never be a real leader. You can assemble a cabinet full of sycophants, but you will never be a real leader. You are obviously the wrecking ball, and you've done a spectacular job at it. You have changed the world. Because of you, the concept of truth no longer exists. Because of you, there is no longer even a distinction between the concept of truth or lies. You have distorted reality so much for people that everyone lies even more now, all the time. Because of you, families hate each other. Because of you, people have died, like the kid in Portland you had murdered in 2020. Because of you, our country and world are crumbling. Because of you, bullying and abuse are back in style. Because of you, the good and innocent live in fear, and those with the worst impulses among us are given free rein to crush the rest of us at will. Because of you, deranged, psychopathic lunatics are trying to destroy my country. Because of you, the Christian church is dying. Because of you, they turn away from Jesus' message. Because of you, false teaching and wolves in sheep's clothing have usurped the throne. You have normalized lying about being a Christian to manipulate people. Because of you, people have given over their souls to hatred and prejudice again, given into the darkest corners of the human psyche. Things that haven't been seen for decades, the horrors of war. The angel of death is you. With your fake hair and your skin, your orange, ridiculous clown makeup, your baggy suits with rumples and creases, and your long ties, your fake smiles, and the manipulation that everyone sees through but doesn't talk about. You are a bulbous, pulsing pustule that contains the distilled remains of all humanity's worst impulses. You embody every single thing about the horrors of war. And I'd compare you to Napoleon, but I already know you won't get it. He's a fat, horrible pig who loves war and thinks he's better than all the other animals. And the truth is, Mr. Trump, you are not more equal than me. Inside the vacuous, empty chamber of your mouth, I see the death camps. I see the death knell of humanity. You represent literally everything wrong with us. Unfettered greed, contempt for those who are having a hard time, abusive language, making fun of people, bullying others, abusing women, lying about money in your businesses, cheating people, and following the media around like a dog begging for interviews, calling them under fake names to talk about yourself. It's pathetic, but that's not even the worst of it. Here's the worst thing you ever did that I know of. You gave millions of people false hope. You lied to them. You told them that you care about them and you care about this country. You told them that everyone else was wrong and bad and full of conspiracies and lies, but really it was you all along. You are the snake. You were the scorpion in your dumb poem all along, and I have to admit that you did warn them. Your greatest victory is that they can never say you didn't tell them exactly who you are all along. And yet, it's a monstrous thing. But I can't call you sick. You're far too intelligent for that. You're a smooth operator, but I see right through you. I knew exactly what you were from the very first moment you came down that gold escalator. I know that you lied every single day of your life. I know that no woman in your life ever wanted to be with you except for the money. In fact, you pay ridiculous, absurd amounts of money to coerce women into sleeping with you and not revealing how pathetic you really are. Like the $120,000 that you paid to Stormy Daniels. You paid her a life-changing amount of money to not tell us what a sick puppy you are, caught a felony for it, and then she did it anyways. That is quite literally the most pathetic thing I have ever heard of in my life. So thank you for bringing clarity and certainty to my life, for proving once and for all that I was right, because people are actually dumb enough to follow you. I know you punched your son in the face and knocked him down in his college dorm in front of his friends for wearing a Yankees jersey instead of a suit to a baseball game. It's in articles, for God's sake. You're a monster. It's ridiculous. And here's what you did. It's from an MSN article called "The Brutal Claim Don Jr.'s Classmates Made About Donald Trump." And there's plenty more articles to back it up. Don Jr. opened the door wearing a Yankee jersey. Without saying a word, his father slapped him across the face, knocking him down in front of all his classmates. He simply said, "Put on a suit and meet me outside," and closed the door. You're a coward, a liar, and a bully. I know this story's true. We all do, because no one would make up a story as ridiculous as a father abusing his son for wearing a baseball jersey to a baseball game. Only you are actually that stupid, evil, and deranged. The truth is, the Grim Reaper doesn't carry a robe. The truth is, the Grim Reaper doesn't wear a robe or carry a scythe. He wears an ugly suit that doesn't fit, and he carries a contract he doesn't intend to fulfill. It's you. You're the Grim Reaper. Everyone hates you. They just haven't realized it yet because you've tricked them into hating other people instead for now. One of my favorite songs is Another Brick in the Wall, Part 3, and I'd like to cover it someday and dedicate it to you. But you weren't actually just a brick for people, were you? How many people ran into your wall and broke their backs? How many contractors did you put out of business? How many marriages and homes and families did you destroy because you couldn't even give people the money you promised them for fair work? You didn't even pay your workers, hundreds of them, thousands of them. It was kind of like your thing, as far as I can tell, to not pay people when they work for you. Contractors, drywall workers, your designers. There are so many articles about this. This is part of how you work. Cheating and lying are ingrained in your very DNA itself. No, you weren't just a brick in the wall. You were the whole wall. In fact, you never shut up about walls, do you, Donald? Do you think I don't know what these stupid walls are really for? You tightened the screws on so many people that I'm sure the divorces and suicides because of you directly number in the thousands, tens of thousands. You destroyed families and you harmed children. You cavorted with Epstein, and everyone knows you pimped out girls with him. I noticed that I haven't seen Ivanka around the White House as much. How is your relationship with her these days? You have more blood on your hands than anyone I've ever met, and you did it all with a smile. You're proud of it, even. You enjoy the way people squeal over you for your money. Your skin reminds me of the visceral fat sprayed onto the slaughterhouse walls in Sinclair's The Jungle. Like the evil in that book, you take advantage of the poor and needy and crush them to death in your apartments and factories. I have another article here from May 5th, 1980 called Trump Evicts Stroke Victim 74, and it's included in my writing. I printed it out for you. Here it is. You can see the real face of Trump here. The cold, fishy eyes that don't care about anything. I'm guessing this picture bothered you at the time. Now, this article states that you personally evicted an elderly, dying stroke victim in order to raise the rent on her apartment. And she was half paralyzed. And you sent your thugs to throw out her shit and rob her and leave her in the street sitting on her laundry basket, weeping in front of her friends and strangers. You literally couldn't even just wait for her to die. You evicted a stroke victim who could barely get out of bed. And even worse, you couldn't even do it with dignity. You turned it into a spectacle and embarrassed her on purpose. A dying woman, and you personally made her weep and mourn in front of strangers and friends. You trashed her stuff and sent crooked cops to bully her even more after. She was half paralyzed recently. A 74 years old, recently paralyzed stroke victim, but all you smell is those sweet, sweet dollar bills, isn't it? Is that right? Is it the greed? Or is there actually something more to this than just your disgusting greed? Through this act, we can actually learn a lot about you. You enjoy doing that to women, don't you, Donald? Embarrassing them, humiliating them the way they humiliated you. We've all seen you do it. Does it make you excited, happy to abuse women, to hurt them like they hurt you? I know you kicked out black people from your apartments and refused to rent to them. Woody Guthrie even wrote a song about it, for God's sake, referencing you and your father's hatred, greed, and prejudice by name. It's called Old Man Trump. You are quite possibly the most hateful person who has ever lived. I mean, how much more clear can this get for people? And still, no one listens. The truth is, you couldn't fight your way out of a plastic bag. Without your money and loyal men backing you up, you're nothing. You couldn't stand up to me even if I had both hands tied behind my back. You're not even worthy to lick my shoe. But like I said, I will forgive you if you choose to repent for lying to people and become a Christian. However, I'm not going to hold my breath because you have no wisdom. And that's because you have never once in your life understood how to let go. Just look at yourself, primping and preening in front of a mirror, wearing makeup. You and your fat little sycophant, pig boy Vance, and his tattooed eyeliner are pathetic. It's disgusting. Elon Musk and his false promises and ridiculous buffoonery. Part of the reason you hate women is because you people are like them. You are not men in the sense of leadership or courageousness. And you have never once appreciated the true beauty and dignity of women. It astounds me. I don't understand it. You don't even make sense. But you don't matter to me at all until you start stepping on my bugs in my forest. I hate people like you who tear up the woods to put in more ugly buildings with your signs and construction vehicles and men with shovels. I can't stand people like you. And you know, one thing I can say about you for sure, which the judge in the E. Jean Carroll case confirmed, is that you are a rapist. You're a rapist, Mr. Trump. And we all know why you used your little wrinkly finger on her in the dressing room that day. You are the literal walking embodiment of the word rape. And not only that, but you might actually be the rapiest rapist who has ever lived. Your whole personality seems to be based around subjugating and abusing women. The only time you've ever really smiled on video is when you were laughing with Epstein at some kind of party, talking about the girls you were going to pimp out together later. Frankly, it's disgusting. As a matter of fact, they could put a picture of you under the word rape in the dictionary, and it would actually work. People would for real get it. You've been sued over 4,000 times. You violate people in every single way, nonstop, all the time. It's all you know. You are the wolf. As stated in my book, I am willing to meet you in a good faith debate at any time and any location. This offer is open and extended in goodwill. Unlike you, I actually mean it. Unlike you, I've never been scared of debating anyone. Not one single person on this planet scares me because I'm not a coward like you. And that's why I wrote 2 other books too. And they're about you. They go along with this project and the more rational worldview, and I'll publish them once these videos go viral. Unlike you, I don't tell lies. Unlike you, I'm willing to stand on a stage and tell the truth to the world. And I haven't done anything illegal through this ministry. The First Amendment protects my right to free speech and to disagree with anyone about anything, even you. I am legally allowed to say that I think the U.S. government and the Synagogue of Satan International Organized Crime Syndicate did 9/11, and people are legally allowed to agree with me. And I am legally allowed to say that I think you're their little bitch boy, and you would squeal like a pig the first time you faced someone who wasn't scared of you. You're not even a good criminal. You're pathetic and weak. I pose no threat to anyone, and I swear a solemn vow not to harm you, just as I have sworn a solemn vow a long time ago never to intentionally harm any living being. And I intend to keep that vow. I look forward to your response. And it's funny because every word of that is true. That's the funny part. Here's one more great lesson I learned from Trump. He who saves his country violates no laws. And it's funny because every word of that is true. That's the funny part. Here's one more great lesson I learned from Trump. He who saves his country violates no laws. It's also true. And I really have to thank him for providing such inspirational wisdom to us peasants. Finally, my message to the Synagogue of Satan International Organized Crime Syndicate. The writing is on the wall for you. Mene, mene, tekel, upharsin. God has numbered the days of your kingdom and brought it to an end. You have been weighed on the scales and found wanting. Your kingdom is divided and given to me. You shouldn't have drunk from the temple goblets, great kings of the earth, the proud men who have it all, with your suits and your rules and your school books, with your banks and your money and your disgusting cars and pollution, with your yellow trucks and engines and your gears and chimneys of black smoke, your assumptions, the way you skirt around in the shadows so no eye ever lands on you, how you think you're safe behind your computers, politicians, and corporations, your universities and institutions and governments and lies, machine guns, conscriptions and war profits, your blood money, the way you rain down bombs on women and children and smile. The money, the fucking money and bullshit. I hate you and I can't stand you. The ones we were supposed to be able to trust. The wolves in sheep's clothing. The ones who raped my forest. You are a rotten cancer, a pollution on the planet. You are the trash in the Pacific Ocean. You are the oil rigs. In fact, you are the Gulf horizon itself. You are the black hole spewing into the Gulf of Mexico, killing and strangling the animals. Our animals, my animals, our ocean, my ocean, our planet, my planet. And what gives you the right? Do you think this is a game? Are you stupid? And you can't even be decent enough to say sorry. I have seen everything you do, every little deed, I have found traces of it. You can't hide in this world, not even you. And the truth is, most of you don't even bother to hide. You don't need to. You're untouchable, and you know it. That's true. But it's all there, and someone can spend years writing books about you, and they're allowed to publish it. Gatekeeping is your greatest passion, and it's one of the things I hate the most about you. You're selfish. You withhold things you could easily just give to people out of nothing but sheer selfishness. And yet, you broadcast your crimes far and wide for all who care to look. So all in all, you are just a brick in the wall. And maybe a brick wall can keep out a wolf. But I'm not a wolf, and I'm not like you. And in fact, you might find, if you are smart enough to figure out how tools work, something simple. You might find yourself looking for a hammer to break down this stupid wall and realize that a lot of different tools can be used as a hammer if you really, really wanted to. Wrenches, drills, shovels. You can turn just about anything into a hammer. And once you have a hammer, it really isn't that hard to knock down a brick wall. In fact, it's quite easy. It's stuck in place. It's rigid. It can't dodge you. It can't duck. All it can do is fall on you if you aren't careful to do it just right. And it might even turn out that if you really need to get through that wall that badly because being on one side just really sucks and your destiny is on the other side and you don't really have much else going on anyways, that all it takes is a few swings, just a few real blows with some determination, a little elbow grease, and the whole thing just comes tumbling down all at once. Because it was all just an illusion all along. All you had to do was take a swing to believe that you could do it. An adult male with a hammer versus a brick wall is about a one-day job, if that. You should have left me alone. You should have left my forests alone. You should have left my animals, insects, and trees alone. You should have left my people alone. But you didn't. And so here's a poem for you that was once written on a wall in Denver. I was once a little child who longed for other worlds. But I am no longer a child, for I have known fear. I have learned to hate. In fact, I have been taught to hate by you. So good luck to the wall. I hope you have enjoyed your time as a stumbling block for humanity, as a cruel, heavy yoke, unequally laden. Your time in the sun, feasting on rewards, reaped from the flesh and blood of the innocent. So, this book is dedicated to them, all the fat little piggies who roost in the Hollywood Hills, Washington, D.C., the Bohemian Grove, the Freemason Lodges, Skull and Bones, the Vatican, the City of London, the wineries and redwoods of Northern California, the private islands, and the secret boats. These are the easy ones. I know all your little secrets. I will shine a light on you, unlike anything you've ever seen. So bright that it purifies even your filthy, disgusting deeds. Melt into my brightness and coagulate with me. Let me watch you, feel you, savor your pain and terror as you are ripped away from us and cast forever into the void. Being the good part of God is so glorious. I truly pity you people. You're morons. This book is dedicated to all the psychopaths who use banks, government, and the television to crush people to dust, to suck the very marrow from their bones, drain them of their blood, and mummify them. And these people have names, stories, and faces, which you will learn and see in my books. It's almost like there might be a better way than this, a better way to live. Eudaimonia, the highest common good for mankind. If only someone was around to tell us what it might be. So to wrap this up, I'd like to thank all of the adults who lied to me my entire life and made it abundantly clear that not one single person I have ever listened to has any idea how the world works. Without that, I would have never found the meaning of my life. I'd also like to thank all of the teachers who reinforced pointless bullshit and rules that don't matter. Some of you are cool, of course. I'd like to thank all the cops, lawyers, and judges for giving up and rolling over like pathetic dogs the moment someone came along who said what they wanted to hear. Thank you for making it clear that you already sold all of us out a long time ago. It's good that everyone knows now that you won't stand in the way of anyone who comes along to persecute us and dismantle the systems that once kept us safe. I also have to thank the church and all of the pastors, priests, and other clergy. Thank you for exposing who you really are and making sure that every single person on earth knows that the Vatican is nothing more than a state-sponsored child sex trafficking ring. I'd especially like to thank the evangelical Christians. I couldn't have done this project without you. Seriously, you made this happen. Congratulations to the colleges for immediately giving up at the first hint of a threat from the government, proving you are cowards and liars who care nothing for the truth. It's good that we all know not to look to you for it anymore. And likewise, thank you to the media for bowing and scraping like peasants in front of some medieval king with this guy. You are pathetic, and it's good that others can see what I've always known about you, that you would literally do anything for more attention. And a big thank you to the law firms for immediately bowing down and pledging $1 billion of pro bono work for Trump and his corruption. That's a really tremendous example for people to see that you don't stand for justice and the law isn't real. It never was. Trump just proved it. And you helped him along greatly. What was that expression we used to say? Cui bono? Or was it quid pro quo? Obviously, thank you to the celebrities for proving that I'm right about almost all of you. There are very few artists among you. And thank you once again to the Republicans for making this so easy for me, for making the harsh, bitter reality of who they really are so obvious that I have no choice but to do this. The depths of your depravity, dishonesty, and evil are truly awe-inspiring. Our movement has room for anyone who's ready to stand up for the dignity of humanity again. Anyone who is ready to be part of a different story, one written by all of us for us. So I'd like to wrap this up with an anecdote from my book. I'll tell you about how I was taught to hate, the first time I ever felt hatred. There were forests once near my house as a child. They aren't there anymore. One day after school, I went to these woods, as I did almost every day. There used to be beautiful trees there, and even a little stream. On this day, however, something had gone terribly wrong. I stood there in stunned silence as the sunlight trickled down lazily, trying to figure out if my eyes were playing tricks on me. I could hardly process what I was seeing. huge squares and rectangles torn up out of the dirt, stumps and roots writhing in agony. Ancient rocks that had lain for lifetimes, rooted up and exposed, laid bare and naked in the sunlight. The blood and guts of nature's viscera, disemboweled before me, as if the tree version of Jack the Ripper had been through here not only a few hours ago. A veritable natural holocaust, a million little death camps and death marches playing out right under my feet. An unspeakable tragedy, a perfect wilderness, casually and utterly destroyed with the utmost intentionality and malice. As I looked to the remaining trees, I saw the imprints left behind by the tractors and bulldozers. I knew then that this was no terrible accident. This was planned, coordinated, and funded from on high. To destroy my forest, take away my sacred spaces. Men in suits, waving clipboards, wearing ties, and speaking in loud, obnoxious voices. People who work for banks and who revel in using money as an instrument of control and destruction. People who tear down forests to put in ugly, cheap buildings. And as I stood there with the sun trickling down, a word came into my mind. Maybe for the first time. A word that I had read but never really thought of. The word is rape. They had raped my forest. And this was in 5th grade for me, the year 2001. This book is about the violation of us, the penetration of the towers, and the rape of the forest. The intentional, willful destruction of the earth and unimaginable harm to the environment. It's about why we do this to each other and how we can stop it. It's the first remedy for violence that might actually work in the last 2,000 years. Whether or not it does is up to you. It's a choose your own adventure story. That's right. Have an adventure or die. That's your choice. So I was once a little child who longed for other worlds, but I am no longer a child. And all I'm asking is for you guys to grow up and join me in the real world too. A world where we can literally take action to fix all of our problems. Where we can do more than just complain about politicians on the internet and vote for them. A world where we can take our future back from those who stole it and build it in a better way that works for all of us. We don't have to listen to criminals, thieves, and murderers. We can literally seize what is ours back from them. All you need is a leader and the combined attention of as many people as possible. What you will need is someone who can unite everyone who isn't evil against the Republican coup. We will need to bring together anyone left with sanity and integrity, unions within the political system, willing to put a hard stop to the subjugation of the people. We'll need the few remaining religious who are willing to call out state-sponsored fake Christianity and evil within the church. We'll need anyone within the legal system who can help, and every person who has a voice within the media to amplify this project and message as much as possible. We need to put aside our petty differences and rivalries and come together as one once again. We need someone who can figure out how to unite all of humanity into one single purpose. Rich versus poor. That's what it is, and that's what it's always been. A small group of individuals who have an amount of wealth so obscene it can only be classified as a mental illness, subjugating and abusing the rest of us. Every difference you think you have with me or almost any other person is completely fake. A false dichotomy to stop us from doing this. Together, we rise. And together, we can smash our chains and stand up once more. Free people on planet Earth. Secure and confident in our own destinies, not living at the whims of others who are cruel, irrational, destructive, and evil. So if you're watching this video and it's not making sense, you have a simple question to ask yourself. Am I blind, stupid, or evil? And if you're watching this video and it does make sense, you have another simple choice to make. You already know what it is. So here's the plot twist. Our new plan is this. You join us. And next time somebody asks you how you are, you tell them, I'm pissed off, and something has to be done about it. Try it. It feels good. It's called a monologue, like this. You can do it yourself. Look, buddy, I'm pissed off, damn it, and something has to be done about it. I won't be treated like an animal. I won't accept subjugation. I have no earthly master, and I won't watch my fellow humans be turned into livestock. I won't stand for this. I will not be subjected to flagrant criminality, abuse of authority, and wild, reckless disregard for honor, principles, morality, and decency. Have you people no shame? Have you, in fact, no decency? Have you forgotten that we all used to believe in something greater than this that we would achieve together? Are we never to reach apotheosis? Shall there be no absolution for mankind? Is this our fate? Not even a whimper of resistance, but merely a resignation and shrug of defeat? Will you laugh along with the executioner when it comes to your turn, or will you have stopped laughing by then? Will I still be ranting and raving alone, a mere tool of mockery and slander, even as they finally usher us into whatever form of extermination they have planned for us? Look, buddy, I won't stand for it. I'm pissed off, and something has to be done about it. That's called a monologue. So we all know something is terribly wrong. We all agree there. And I told you that this speech was about the truth and the meaning of life. Through this speech, I have established that the truth breaks chains because it sets you free, that the most important foundation of life is truth. Clearly, by staying here the whole time, you have agreed with this, and I commend you for that. However, I also told you I'd tell you the meaning of life. The meaning of life has truth as foundation. And if our movement is the truth, then the meaning of life is for you to join us. It's for us to expose this truth, starting with 9/11, so loudly that no one will ever ignore it again. You find meaning through believing in principles and acting on them. The meaning of our lives is to tear down this rotten system and build one that works for everyone. A new story. Words are nothing without action. The first part of truth is the word, and the second part of truth is the action of the word. Remember, there are no half-truths. We are the Witnesses to Love ministry. Join us. This speech is protected under my First Amendment rights, and I am not a threat to any person or myself. We are allowed to have opinions and say them out loud if we want to. And people are allowed to agree with us. So thank you for watching, and may God bless you richly in the name of Jesus Christ. And remember, the revolution will be televised.